there, good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday and now it's time to look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's edition of Looking Forward. Now, this show is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and will have consequences for your life as well as mine and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and the world's politics, security and economy going forward. So let's get going. Tonight's edition packs a punch with 5 big news developments that are to take place over the week and beyond. Story number 1 tracks Prime Minister Narendra Modi's worldwide multi-nation outreach as he flies into a turbulent neighborhood from West Asia's flashpoints to the Horn of Africa and the Gulf. This is not just another tour, but a bid to redraw India's sphere of influence through diplomacy, trade and a crucial FTA that could reset our footprint in the region. Our next story zeroes in on the winter session of the Parliament now entering its final stretch with time fast running out. With just a handful number of working days, a crowded reform agenda and a House already scarred by disruptions and walkouts. We ask if the Parliament will end this year having truly worked for the people or merely performed for the cameras. Our story number 3 dives into the BJP's latest political plot twist with a surprise choice of its youngest ever national president. A 45-year-old leader from freshly won Bihar now takes the reins from Delhi, raising big questions on what this generational shift means for the party's next decade, its north-south strategy and the road to the next Lok Sabha battle. Story number 4 moves to the sea, where the Indian Navy quietly adds yet another silent sentinel to its rank in the midst of its biggest modernization drive. A compact, fully indigenous diving support craft may weigh just a few hundred tons, but it is set to transform how India operates below the waterline, from salvage to special missions, while powering the Atmanirbhar shipbuilding revolution. And finally, story number 5 is about ISRO's next big leap as India's space agency readies its heavy lift workhorse for a milestone commercial mission. A record American satellite ride from Sriharikota puts India firmly in the race with global launch giants, turning budget launcher perceptions on their head and showcasing how space is becoming New Delhi's newest diplomatic as well as an economic frontier. Let's begin with the headlines first.
Targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
12 killed, 29 injured in mass shooting targeting Jewish community at Australia's Bondi Beach. Bihar Minister Nitin Nabin appointed as Working President of the BJP. Gujarat couple and their 3-year-old daughter allegedly taken to hostage in Libya while trying to migrate to Portugal. CBI team to visit London in Nirav Modi case for the first hearing on the appeal against his extradition to India. Israel eliminates Hamas's weapons chief in Gaza. IDF says key planner of 7th of October attack killed. In the middle of a turbulent neighborhood with Gaza on the edge, Red Sea shipping under threat, China tightening its grip on the Indian Ocean, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is heading out on a 3-nation tour to Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman. Now, from Oman on the edge of West Asia's fires to Addis Ababa in a rising BRICS Africa to Muscat at the mouth of the Arabian Sea, This is not a routine tour. It is a map of India's next sphere of influence. Over the 4 days, Modi will test how far India can stretch its clout across the Levant, the Horn of Africa and the Gulf through diplomacy, trade and a pivotal Oman free trade agreement that could redraw our economic footprint in the region. Here is looking forward to India's outreach in West Asia and North Africa.
From December 15th to 18th, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on the road. Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman. 3 countries, 3 sub-regions, 1 strategic arc. The tour begins in Amman, in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, at the invitation of King Abdullah II. India and Jordan are marking 75 years of diplomatic ties, and Prime Minister Modi, along with the King, is expected to review the entire gamut of relations and exchange views on regional issues, from Gaza and Jerusalem's holy sites to West Asian security that directly affects India's energy and diaspora. For Delhi, Jordan is a moderate Arab voice, custodian of Islamic holy sites and a quiet stabilizer in a volatile Levant. But with fragile peace, critical shipping lanes and a raging conflict in the mix, India's stance needs articulation in a region where proxy war is the name of the game.
See, Ethiopia has been a very important country, though Ethiopia is actually a landlocked country today, but it has openings to the sea from Eritrea and both Djibouti. So it's a very important country in Africa. Jordan, again, has been a very, very important country in the Levant. In fact, it is one of the countries which has been on the forefront in trying to counter radicalization. It is also one of the few Arab countries which have relations with Israel. So that is very, very important from our point of view. And so visit to these 2 countries, obviously, is very, very important. Oman, again, is a very, very important country because it is one of the closest country in the Arabian Peninsula to us from the sea. Also, Oman controls to a very great extent the entry into the Persian Gulf. And Oman is the only Arab country probably which has equidistance from both Saudi Arabia and Iran. And it is the country which has been mediating between Iran and USA in the past. So Oman is extremely important. We have very good business deals with Oman. We have a lot of investment in Oman. And the India-Oman relationship has been going from strength to strength. Oman is also a rich country as far as energy is concerned. And Oman has huge potential of development. And because its geographical location is such that it enables it to develop exponentially. So I think the visits to all these 3 countries are important.
By not picking sides, it is choosing to deepen ties with Amman. The signal for Delhi is clear: peace in Palestine, free trade through the Red Sea, and safety of 9 million plus Indians in West Asia, which remains central to its foreign policy.
Everybody knows that India today is our good friend and we are having good relations with India. Of course, I can call Prime Minister Modi as my Prime Minister too, because I'm Indian born and I'm staying in Israel. But yes, always the friends, when they visit our friends in Middle East, we are very happy because then the relations are much better, because in that way, Modi will always do everything what is good for peace. And I'm so sure that Prime Minister Modi is one of our good friends, and our things are built together between both the nations, between India and Israel. So I'm so sure that also Jordan and India will be good friends, and for us it will be benefit.
For the second leg, on December 16th, Prime Minister Modi flies southwest to Addis Ababa for his first ever visit to Ethiopia. Ethiopia is Africa's second most populous nation. A new BRICS member and a key player in the Horn of Africa, sitting next to China's base in Djibouti. As partners in the Global South, Prime Minister Modi and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed will hold wide-ranging talks on trade, digital public infrastructure, defense, training and capacity building. Prime Minister Modi's final stop is in Muscat, in the Sultanate of Oman, from December 17th to 18th. This is Prime Minister Modi's second visit in Oman. India and Oman are marking 70 years of diplomatic relations. The partnership is all-encompassing. Trade, energy, defense, intelligence sharing, Indian diaspora, and even access for Indian warships to Omani ports in the Arabian Sea. However, the main focus will be on the India-Oman Free Trade Agreement. Just days before the visit, the cabinet has cleared the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, setting up Muscat as India's next big Gulf trade and logistics hub.
There are many positive things, to be very honest. And right after this visit, we are going to witness a lot of things. We know that how we have free trade agreement done between the UAE and India. And this one is especially when you talk about the Middle Eastern countries and India's relation. We share very historic and, beyond oil relationship. So this kind of agreement is going to help a lot to both these countries.
With the FTA in place, Oman could become to India what Singapore is in the Southeast Asia, a springboard for goods, services and investment into an entire region.
When you talk about these kinds of trades, especially that brings a lot of business opportunities to both the countries. And when you talk about Gulf and Middle Eastern countries in particular, Oman plays an important role after Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So if we have this agreement done, which is already, we already got the clearance for this, as I said, is going to create a lot of avenues for all these Indians mostly. And apart from this, having these agreements also, is a kind of manifestation that what kind of relation we share with these countries. So when you sign these kinds of agreements, at the end of the day, this is in the larger interest of the country, and especially when we talk about Indian foreign policies and the policies that we have when Honorable Prime Minister is visiting Oman for the second time here. So this is something very positive and historic.
Seen on a map, the three nations form together a triangle. Jordan on the front lines of Levant, Ethiopia touching the Red Sea and the African Union, and Oman guarding the mouth of the Arabian Ocean. The geopolitical experts call it India's West Asia Horn Arc, a soft counter to China's Belt and Road Initiative, with the belt of ports and bases running from Djibouti to Gwadar in the Gulf.
Oman's strategic location allows anyone controlling or having a base there to monitor or control ships entering Persian Gulf. But I think at this juncture, it may be far-fetched. We might look for more robust defense cooperation with Oman. We may like to collaborate. And Oman is also provides one of the avenues of collaborating with Iran without having to get into the quagmire of sanctions. As far as Ethiopia is concerned, I think its entry into BRICS is important because Ethiopia has good relations and it's a very, very important country in Africa. It has a historical connotation. It's a country which was never colonized. And as a result, Ethiopia is a very, very significant country. And I think its entry shows India's commitment to Africa and African nations. And we were the ones who got African Union into G20. And now we are trying to expand BRICS by getting countries like Ethiopia into it. So it's a very, very significant development. And as I said, India is looking for new friends at this point of time because we have had problems with the United States. We are improving relations with China. We are improving relations with Russia. And India has always cherished its strategic autonomy. And I think we would like to keep this strategic autonomy. And for maintaining our strategic autonomy, it's essential that we have good relations with more and more countries.
Over 4 days and 3 capitals, Prime Minister Modi's itinerary offers a glimpse of where India's foreign policy is headed after the big-ticket visits to Washington, Paris and Moscow. If this Jordan-Ethiopia-Oman triangle delivers, India can lock its position in the Arabian Sea, with the map of India's influence from the Suez to the Cape looking very different by the end of this decade.
The winter session of the Parliament is now in its final stretch, and the clock is clearly the biggest opposition. Just 4 effective working days remain, a packed legislative agenda, key reform bills waiting in the wings, and yet a session already scarred by disruptions, walkouts and headline-grabbing sideshows. So tonight on Looking Forward, we ask the hard questions. As this session perhaps is also designed what it has been in the past to fail or derailed deliberately. Is Parliament heading into an election year having worked or merely performed? Take a look.
Question number 23.
The winter session enters its final week with very little breathing room. 15 sittings in total, amongst the shortest sessions in recent years.
Change will help avoid unnecessary.
The first week largely lost to protests over electoral revisions. The second consumed by debates on Vande Mataram and SIR.
वंदे मातरम की चर्चा क्यों हो रही है वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। मुझे लगता है कि उन्होंने नए सिरे से अपनी समझ पर ही सोचने की जरूरत है। कुछ लोगों को इसमें दिखता है कि बंगाल में चुनाव आने वाला है इसलिए वंदे मातरम की चर्चा हो रही है। वो वंदे मातरम के महिमा मंडन को बंगाल के चुनाव के साथ जोड़कर कम करना चाहते हैं।
वंदे मातरम उस आधुनिक राष्ट्रवाद की अभिव्यक्ति है जिसने भारत के लोगों को एक राजनीतिक और नैतिक आकांक्षा से जोड़ा, जिसने भारत के लोगों को एक साझा नियति के उत्तराधिकारी, एक साझा भविष्य के निर्माता के रूप में देखा। लेकिन आज की ये बहस मुझे कुछ अजीब सी लग रही है। जैसे मैंने कहा, ये गीत देश की आत्मा का हिस्सा बन चुका है। 150 सालों से देशवासियों के दिलों में ये गीत बस चुका है। 75 सालों से हमारा देश आजाद है, तो फिर आज इस बहस की क्या आवश्यकता है?
Now the government is left with barely 24 hours of real legislative time to push through a long list of pending reforms. On the table, bills that could reshape higher education, nuclear energy, insurance and economic regulation. But only 3 bills have been cleared so far. Several others remain unintroduced. And the opposition is already signaling that any late push will be met with demands of parliamentary scrutiny. The question is unavoidable. Has the opposition robbed taxpayers of serious debate on 13 key reforms?
what the opposition yet again missed an opportunity to have a constructive discussions on issues that matter. Fundamental mistake that the opposition did was to ask questions that were pointed towards the Election Commission on the floor of the House. And the Election Commission is not even represented on the floor of any of the houses. And yet, the kind of questions that came in from the leader of opposition in both the houses were pinpointedly, targeted towards the Election Commission, and the response was being sought from the government. And I believe this was a clear case where, some kind of an understanding, some kind of a strategic vision around cornering the government could have been adopted by the opposition. There could have been, serious deliberations around AQI, and the opposition could have held the government accountable for it.
But the opposition pushes back, arguing that the problem lies not in protest, but in planning. A compressed calendar, a crowded agenda, and bills that demand time, not speed.
Government had a design. They know that disruption will come from the opposition. So they packed up bills so as to rush the bill passing. This is a well thought out strategy. And the accusation against the government has been that it has not discussed the bill at length. And considering the fact that in so less a time you have so many bills lined up, obviously there is no space for discussion at length. So there's a strategy by the opposition, there is a counter strategy by the government. Government wants to do its business, rush its business, and opposition wants to perhaps disrupt, delay, and there.
मेरे यहाँ बोलने का क्रम मैं तय करूंगा। इस तरह से नहीं चलेगी संसद। आपने अगर अमित शाह जी का रिस्पॉन्स देखा तो ये कंप्लीटली डिफेंसिव रिस्पॉन्स है। ये घबराया हुआ रिस्पॉन्स है।
Rahul Gandhi in the winter session of Parliament somehow surrendered to the government of India, especially to Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, because during monsoon session, Mr. Rahul Gandhi did create a hackers, pandemonium, etc. The entire monsoon session was washed out. Based on that, the public criticism, the Bihar elections, and also possible Thiruvananthapuram election, mayoral election, all put together made Mr. Rahul Gandhi to succumb to the pressure. And there is important thing which I would like to tell the Republic viewers, saying SIR versus FIR, special intensive revision is equal to first information report of National Herald.
As Parliament enters its final days, the choice is stark: debate or deadlock, scrutiny or speed. With elections around the corner, what happens next may shape not just laws, but public trust in Parliament itself. 4 days, a dozen bills, and a Parliament under pressure. Whether it's the final week that delivers governance or just more noise, this will define how this winter session is judged. By voters, by history, and by democracy itself.
In politics, the BJP loves its plot twists, and this Sunday evening it dropped another. After months of speculation, quiet tug-of-war, rumours between RSS, Modi Shah loyalists and organisational old guards, the party has now picked its youngest ever national president, 45-year-old Nitin Nabin from Bihar, born in 1980, the same year as the BJP itself. He takes over the chair once occupied by giants. After JP Nadda's extended tenure and multiple stopgap extensions, the big question is, what does this surprise choice from a freshly conquered Bihar signal for the BJP's next decade and the next Lok Sabha battle? Take a look as we look forward to the possible developments following the appointment of the BJP's youngest president.
From Narendra Modi in 2013 to Yogi in 2017, the BJP has a flair for shock announcements. The new party president is no exception. JP Nadda's term extensions more than once had turned the BJP presidency into a long interregnum. Power clearly lay with PM Modi and HM Shah, while the former top chair waited for its next occupant. In Delhi's corridors, whispers grew about RSS preferences, about loyalists of the centre, about whether the party would choose an old guard face or a generational shift. The answer came after a Herculean mandate in Bihar, and almost out of nowhere on a quiet Sunday evening, on the eve of last week of the winter session, Nitin Nabin, minister and five-time MLA from Bankipur, has been named as BJP's acting national president.
केंद्रीय नेतृत्व माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, माननीय राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी, माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी, केंद्रीय अपने पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड के सभी सदस्यों को विशेष धन्यवाद देता हूं जिन्होंने मुझ पर भरोसा किया। एक कार्यकर्ता के रूप में काम करने के में उनका मार्गदर्शन हमें हमेशा मिला है और उनके नेतृत्व को हम लोगों ने हमेशा काम करते हुए बहुत कुछ सीखा है। आज पार्टी ने भरोसा किया है तो निश्चित रूप से उस भरोसे को आगे बढ़ाने का प्रयास करेंगे।
अगली चुनौती क्या है? बंगाल और यूपी खासकर बड़ी चुनौती है, असम और तमिलनाडु में भी चुनाव होने वाले हैं।
हम अपने केंद्रीय नेतृत्व का निश्चित रूप से पूरा मार्गदर्शन और नेतृत्व जो हम लोग को मिला है, हम लोग पूरी तरह से बंगाल और असम दोनों ही राज्यों में बेहतर रिजल्ट के साथ, और बंगाल में बदलाव का समय आ गया है और जिस प्रकार से बंगाल में परिस्थितियां हैं उस परिस्थिति में एनडीए और भाजपा ही उस परिस्थिति से बंगाल को निकालकर बंगाल में एक स्वच्छ शासन वाली सरकार बनाने में हम लोग को आगे बढ़ना है।
He doesn't come from a community which has a very big electoral presence, but the kind of elevation that he has got, it means that party and the decision makers of Bharatiya Janata Party has chosen him for his organizational experience, his background in the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, and with an eye on the future of the party. I think I'm not wrong. His family has a big, deep RSS connections. So I think it's a decision to be analyzed. It will be seen more deeply, and I think the Bharatiya Janata Party was facing flack for delaying the new president election and new president of the party. Hopefully right now they will have something to say now, but I'm not aware whether he will be elevated as a full-term president.
Nitin Nabin's CV is long for a 45-year-old. First elected MLA in 2006, he's won Bankipur repeatedly, often by large margins, and held key portfolios in Bihar, road construction, urban development and housing, and law. On the organization side, he's risen brick by brick through Yuva Morcha National Office Bearer, Bihar BJYM President, then election and organization in charge in Sikkim, later co-Prabhari and then Prabhari for Chhattisgarh. Born in May 1980, the very year BJP was founded, Nitin Nabin literally belongs to the party's own generation and not the Jansangh era.
He excels in organizational matters. He has been an organizational man, number one. Number two, his record as a minister in Bihar has been excellent, I would say. Excellent. He has been a minister of road, he has been a minister of law, and he has worked, and he's a very low-key person. So I think it's to be watched, and I believe that Bharatiya Janata Party decision maker have taken this decision with an eye on future, with a lot of the person do not carry any controversy as such. And if you remember, he filed a case against one Jalil Mastan for abusive language against the Prime Minister. So he's in the good books of all section in the party, and he has deep truck with RSS also, I would say. Yes.
The timing fuels speculation. Why pick a Bihar minister now as the national president? Just after a supermajority in Patna and months before serious 2026-27 state polls and the early phase of the next Lok Sabha build-up.
See, if you look at the history of BJP, has been trying to bring in new leadership, young leaders, all through, including ministers and various party presidents. This is a step in that direction when they want the new generation to take up. And in that line, I don't know why it is considered a surprise, because it is just a question of not understanding the party. And it also shows the depth of leadership that we have, in the sense that the BJP having such a long list of leaders or organizers at secondary level, tertiary level. It proves the strength of that organization.
A new face now emerges at Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Marg. But eyes now turn to the South Bloc and the PMO, with speculations right of a possible reshuffle, both in the party and the government, as the national executive finally gets a president. A new team of Nabin is expected to step in.
I would say it's not a dawn of a new era. You can say it's a beginning of the generational change, which we see in various state levels also, right from chief ministers to party presidents. In that line, it's handing over the charge to the next generation in coming years. It is not going to be a sudden rise of some youth or something. It is just going to be gradual handing over with good hand-holding by the seniors. And you can say rise of the younger generation and acceptance of the younger generation, which is always there as compared to other parties, and readiness to give chance to the new or the young people through metal.
For now, Nitin Nabin remains more a symbol than a storyline. Youngest ever BJP president, stepping into a chair once occupied by stalwarts of the party's genesis. The real test begins now. Can this low-key organizer turn into a national vote-getters general? Or will the surprise appointment be remembered as just another twist in BJP's long saga of shock moves from the top?
In the middle of India's biggest naval modernization drive, another silent sentinel joins the fleet. On 16th of December at Kochi, the Indian Navy will commission the DSC-A-20, the first of a new fully indigenous diving support craft series. It's just 390 tons, a coastal workhorse, but the Navy calls it a key operational asset. With the hull being the state-of-the-art diving systems and about 100% Indian design, DSC-A-20 is meant to change how India works below the waterline, from salvage to special operations, while powering the Atmanirbhar Bharat shipbuilding revolution. Here is the full story on how Indian Navy is adding a ship every 40 days.
On December 16th, under the Southern Naval Command in Kochi, DSC-A-20 will be formally commissioned in the presence of Vice Admiral Samir Saxena, marking the entry of a new generation of indigenous diving support craft. DSC-A-20 is the lead ship in a series of 5 diving support craft built by the Titagarh Rail Systems in Kolkata, purpose designed for a wide spectrum of underwater missions in India's coastal waters. Unlike older improvised diving tenders or converted tugs, DSC-A-20 has been designed from scratch under Indian naval rules and Indian Register of Shipping Standards. Its catamaran hull form and systems were model tested at NTSL Visakhapatnam for stability, safety and performance.
With the induction of the specialized diving equipments. That means which can monitor the diving operations underwater as to what exactly the diver is doing, how far down he has gone into the water, and what are the other various assistance or the technologically advanced cameras or photography for carrying out maintenance are all incorporated in this 390 diving support craft.
The twin-hull catamaran gives DSC-A20 superior stability, a much wider working deck and better sea keeping. Critical when divers are in the water or when underwater equipment is being launched and recovered. At about 390 tons, DSC-A20 is small by warship standards, but it is packed with state-of-the-art diving systems, compressors, chambers and handling gear designed specifically for underwater inspection, repair, salvage and maintenance missions along the coast.
These vessels have got better stability, they have more space, which gives them improved handling of the craft as well as the diving operations. You see, diving in operation involves men who dive underwater, who dive into the sea or around these places where we need salvation or we need underwater inspection. So their safety is also of paramount importance. So these such vessels are fully equipped with all kinds of diving support systems. So this is why we call it a vessel which will enable us to carry out day-to-day operations which occur all the time, at any time, either in the ports or in crowded harbors, coastal areas. So this is something which we were lacking with.
DSC-A20 will be based at Kochi under the Southern Naval Command, positioned to support India's operations across Western Seaboard, island territories and busy shipping lanes. In an era of seabed cables, offshore energy, deep port traffic and undersea threats, diving support is not a sideshow. It's core to keeping harbors open, ships safe and coastal infrastructure secure. DSC-A20 plugs that gap with a modern and Indian-built solution. Beyond the steel and sensors, DSC-A20 is also a Make in India story. Designed and built in India, tested in India, with the Navy's shipyard and DRDO lab NTSL working as one ecosystem.
This isn't a feel-good Make in India story. It's about who controls a navy in a crisis, the sailor at sea or the supplier abroad. For decades, India imported naval platforms because time mattered more than self-sufficiency. That was a rational choice. The US, Japan, and even China did the same in their early phases. But every major maritime power eventually learns the same lesson. Imports compress times, but they also import dependence. During the Ukraine war, even European militaries discovered that friendly suppliers still impose limits when politics intervene. What changes with platforms like DSC-A20 is that India now owns the design logic, not just the hull. This matters more in undersea warfare where geography, ocean depth, temperature and seabed conditions differ dramatically. Imported platforms are built for the Atlantic or Pacific. Indian designed platforms are built for the Indian Ocean. Imported ships work best in peacetime. Indigenous ships matter most on day one of a crisis. And that is the real shift from buying capability to controlling it. And this is what turns a navy from a consumer into a strategic actor.
DSC-A20 is just the first in a 5-ship family. As her sisters join over the next few years, the Navy can permanently base diving support along key commands, Western, Eastern and Southern, building a grid of underwater capability around the peninsula.
The choke points are not controlled by warship. They are controlled by risk. Over 60% of global maritime trade passes through Indo-Pacific choke points, and a significant share of China's energy imports crosses the Indian Ocean. History shows that you don't need to block shipping to shape outcomes. Even perceived undersea risk can spike insurance costs, reroute trades, and move energy markets. China understands this logic well. That is why it deploys dual-use research vessels, maps, seabeds, and expands its undersea footprints quietly. India does not need numerical parity to counter this. Geography already favors India. What India needs is persistence, autonomy, and denial capability. By fielding indigenous support platforms, diving support craft, unmanned underwater systems, and seabed monitoring assets, India can shape choke points continuously, not episodically. Surface fleet shows flags and undersea system shapes behavior. This is how India turns geography into leverage, and why undersea capabilities will decide the Indian Ocean's future balance. And I would like to end by saying that India isn't trying to outbuild anyone. It's trying to control decisions in its own ocean, and that battle is being fought underwater.
Indian Navy's vision is clear. A future where Indian-built ships and systems lead our charge, and not imported stopgaps from abroad. On paper, DSC A-20 is just a 190-ton craft. In practice, it is a signal that Indian shipyards can now deliver specialized high-end support vessels, and that Atmanirbhar Bharat is slowly but surely reshaping India's maritime power.
In a week when India is already talking about great power diplomacy, ISRO is quietly doing its own brand of foreign policy in space. It is expected on 15th of December from Sriharikota, the LVM-3 Bahubali will lift off with the Bluebird 6, a 6.5-ton US commercial satellite built by AST Space Mobile. It will be the heaviest American satellite ever launched by India, riding the same rocket that took Chandrayaan and CMS-3 to the space. From NASA's NISAR to this pure-play commercial mission, India is no longer just a budget launcher. It is also emerging as a serious rival to global space titans, with a booming private ecosystem at its back. Now, it all depends whether at all the weather does not really becomes the spoil spot here. Let's take a look at the significance behind ISRO's latest liftoff.
5 seconds.
On December 21st, from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota, ISRO's LVM-3 Bahubali will lift off with Bluebird 6, a 6.5-ton American communications satellite built by Texas-based AST Space Mobile. At 6.5 tons, Bluebird 6 will be the heaviest American satellite India has ever put into orbit, and one of the largest payloads LVM-3 has carried, after the 4.4-ton CMS-3 launched in November. Bluebird 6 is the first of AST Space Mobile's next-generation Block 2 satellites. It features a 2,400 square feet phased array antenna, which is 3.5 times larger than its predecessors and offers nearly 10 times the data throughput. Designed to beam broadband straight to ordinary mobile phones on the ground. Bluebird 6 reached India on October 19th, was driven to Sriharikota, and has since gone through some final inspections, fueling an integration with LVM-3 under New Space India Limited, the commercial arm that markets ISRO's launch services globally. Now, on December 21st, ISRO's most trusted workhorse, heavy lifter LVM-3, is set to put Bluebird 6, its heaviest payload, into a low Earth orbit. LVM-3, nicknamed Bahubali, is a 3-stage, 45.5-meter rocket weighing about 640 tons at liftoff. It can take 8 tons to low Earth orbit and 4 tons to geosynchronous transfer orbit, the backbone of India's heaviest launches, including Chandrayaan-2, Chandrayaan-3, and now Bluebird 6.
Bluebird 6. It belongs to AST Space Mobile United States of America, and they have already launched 5 satellites of Bluebird. It is meant for, let us say, the broadband communications directly to the device. Till now, whatever they are launched has got only 1500 kg, 5 of them. But this particular one is a model where they want to launch a heavy satellite for the broadband communication, and the satellite weight is 6000 kg, anywhere between 6000 to 6100 kg. This heavy satellite is going to be launched by GSLV Mark III into a 500 kilometer circular orbit. We call it as the low Earth orbit. And it is a huge satellite for them. And the moment the solar panel, after injection into the orbit, the moment the solar panels are expanded, the size of the solar panel will be around 2400 square foot. It will generate around 11 kilowatts of power. Since it is in low Earth orbit, it is actually the processing bandwidth will be 10,000 megahertz, and which can provide a peak speed of 120 Mbps for a user once it is commissioned actually. So it is a big satellite being launched by ISRO. ISRO should be proud of taking such a commercial one. It is actually the heaviest one by GSLV Mark III into LEO.
AST Space Mobile could have gone to US or European rockets, but chose India for Washington's private sector. That's a vote of confidence in LVM-3's price, performance, and reliability.
If you talk about the cooperation between USA and India regarding the space program in large, and NASA and ISRO in particular, our coordination and cooperation has been more than 50 years. Okay, it's more than 5 decades of our cooperation, which is going strength to strength. Legacy of the cooperation between the two countries. Recently, in 2024, we had the launch of NISR satellite, which is the heaviest and most expensive Earth observation civilian satellite, which had been made by the two countries. And in 2019, based on the scientific study, US started hunting for a partner in making NISR, and they found India to be most suitable partner in terms of technical, in terms of management, in terms of commercial strength, and they found that NASA and ISRO weighs equally in terms of responsibilities in making NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar, what is called as NISR, and it is about 13,500 crores worth of the satellite, which was launched successfully and which has been declared operational, and it has been giving good imageries and the results in the last about a week's time, and the satellite has been stable. This is how the strength to strength has been continuing. And now the latest and the most important is also that the request from US on commercial basis, the launch of the Bluebird 6, the 6.5 ton satellite by our LVM-3, what we call it as LVM-3 CMS-03 launch vehicle, which is scheduled to be launched from Sriharikota.
For India, this is a confidence mission, proving that India can routinely handle 6+ ton class payloads. That changes the global perception of LVM-3 from a national launcher to a serious commercial option.
how it is actually fit into the space fairing, we call it as a nose cone, into the Bahubali rocket. Actually, the nose cone is 5-meter dia, where we payloads normally we keep it, and it is 10 meters height, around 10.5 meters height. That means it has to be folded into a 10 meters height and 5-meter dia space. Then after injection into this required orbit, they can slowly unfurl it so that all solar panels can be expanded. That is how actually the satellite has been handled at URSC, Bangalore, and later at Sriharikota Launch Complex. I believe it has been integrated and waiting for a launch anywhere from December 15th onwards. So this is a low Earth orbit one, and the GSLV Mark III is concerned. Till now, whatever launches were made by ISRO, 100% successful. This is the rocket which is going to be used for even Gaganyaan. So the moment you see the Gaganyaan program, it was listed in the ISRO website that there will be 3 initial uncrewed launches and followed by crewed launches. That means with astronauts. So this is the rocket which is going to be used, and this particular launch will give a lot of confidence since the subsystems developed for let us say such Gaganyaan mission are also going to be used here. So this is one more test for the rocket that the moment all of them are qualified, then the functionality of the subsystems are nearly 100% complete.
India is no longer just a low-cost PSLV shop. With LVM-3, it is quietly eating into the mid-weight commercial launch market, where not every payload gets a slot on Falcon 9.
This this particular satellite, which is going to be launched by Sriharikota, will be launched into sun-synchronous orbit, and this will be visible over the required customers' place during the sunlit period. This is one of the finest and one of the best Earth observation satellites that ISRO is launching for American customer. So this saga continues between ISRO and NASA in particular, and India and America in large. So therefore, this launch is going to be a milestone for both the countries, namely India and America.
For India's own space economy, Bluebird 6 is also a coming-of-age moment. NSIL is proving that it can bring in serious foreign businesses. Indian startups see validation that Sriharikota and LVM-3 are attractive launch addresses, and every flawless heavy lift shot builds confidence ahead of human rating LVM-3 for Gaganyaan. On December 21st, when Bahubali roars off the pad with Bluebird 6 on top, it won't just be another foreign payload in Indian skies. It will be a test of whether ISRO and its partners can turn technical success into a sustained commercial launch business. With Bahubali taking on Nisar, Chandrayaan, and the heaviest American ComSat in its class, LVM-3 is staking a claim in the big leagues. If the Bluebird 6 bet pays off, this could be remembered as the night Bahubali truly went global.